There's one thing I know how to do. It's not how to make a patch quilt.
Welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples, a channel of conversation and board games.
Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we are going to be making some patch quilts. There's one thing I know how to do. It's not how to make a patch quilt. Today, we're looking at an older game, but newer to me. I finally had a chance to play Patchwork. I know it's highly regarded, a two-player game in which you'll be collecting or drafting, I guess you'd say, pentominoes, trying to fill your little patch quilt. So, how does it play exactly? What are my thoughts? Let's dive in. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for Patchwork, a game for two players all about making a patchwork quilt, something I know nothing about, but luckily I know how to play this game. So this is a two-player game in which, again, you're going to be taking these different pieces and filling up your 9x9 board in hopes that you can fill it as much as possible. So each player starts with a board and 5 buttons. There's a green as well as a yellow player, and then you put all these tiles around, and as just a two-player game, this has a pretty big table presence. I've squished it considerably to get it into the frame, but you put them all out, and then you put this neutral token by this tiny one, which is 2 buttons and 1 time. Okay, and then it would be one of the players to go first, whoever is on top. In this case, for example's sake, I'll say the yellow player's on top, and they would, on their turn, you have one of 2 things that you can do. You can either buy one of these quilt pieces 3 ahead of the neutral token, or you can jump ahead of the opponent on the time track. I'll explain that in a moment. So let's just imagine with me, the yellow player takes this one. At that point, they would put the neutral player there. They would have to pay 3 buttons as well as 3 time. They can put this anywhere on their board. They pay their 3 time. There is also a 7x7 challenge. The first player to get a 7x7 filled in space on their board gets 7 points. So depending on where you're putting your things, you're going to want to work toward that. So I paid my 3 buttons, and then I would pay my 3 time. Then it would come to the green player's turn. They, again, can choose one of these that are in front of them, or the other action that they can do is they could just jump ahead of their opponent. In this case, they would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and they would collect 1 button per space that they went. So they would gain another 4. Of course, they're using time because the game ends when both players reach the middle of this board. So let's just imagine that the green player jumped ahead of the yellow player, and it's back to the yellow player. They can take any one of these. Imagine with me, they take this. It costs 2. They would put it on their board, right like that, and they would move however many time. They would be moving 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Anytime you cross one of these buttons, you would then count up all the buttons on your board, and you would take that many buttons back into your supply that you can spend. So in this case, yellow player would get 2 buttons. So that's pretty much it. You don't necessarily take turns. Whoever is furthest behind would take the turn. So imagine with me, the green player, they would take this one. Cost them 2 buttons, 1 time. They would move 1, and then it would still be their turn, and they could go again, and they would just keep going. Anytime you, like I said, pass a blue button, you collect as many buttons as you have, and anytime you pass one of these patches, you just put it on your board right away, and it fills in some of these smaller areas. So again, you'll be filling up your board, and when you get to the end, you would then count up all your, because when you cross over, you'll count up all your buttons, you'll take that, and then you would get -2 for every space that you have not filled up on your little patchwork quilt here. So that would determine who would be the winner, whoever to have the most points. Of course, whoever finished, if anybody, did a 7x7 grid, they would also get 7 buttons as well. And whoever has the most buttons would be your winner. Now, let's check out the final forecast. So the final forecast for Patchwork, a game all about quilting. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I know nothing about quilting, but I know about this game, and I enjoyed it a lot. I will say that. Bottom line, I love this game. I'm late to the table on this game. Definitely late to the table. I just got it, a number of months back. Finally got it to the table. After many years of this game being wildly popular, I finally had a chance to play it. And I must say, I love this game. It's a lot of fun. I love that whole puzzly aspect to this game. Trying to piece together your quilt on your little board to, the maximum potential. First time I played this, it says 20 minutes on the box. My wife, Nicole, she'd never played it. And we played this thing in exactly 20 minutes. It's pretty crazy how the time on the box is just like bang on in this game. I love the whole contrast of time being a resource and collecting buttons also a resource that you need to pay the buttons to get specific tiles, but then, you have to pay time to put that piece on your board. And it's pretty simple in the sense of you have 2 actions. You're either picking a tile 3 spots away from that token, or you're moving your player piece on the time board in front of your opponent. And I love the decision making in that because it can come to some really tough decisions at times when you're going to move ahead of your opponent in hopes that you can get a piece further down the line. But in doing that, you're giving up time that you'll be able to use to potentially not fill your board as much. And I just love that whole, tug of war in this game. I've taught it to my 9-year-old. He really enjoys it and he caught on pretty quick. And just overall, this is just a fun 2-player game. It spreads out on the table pretty big, so it's not like it's a small box, but you need a decent sized space to play it. But overall, if you're looking for like an abstract, puzzly game for you and a spouse or a friend, you just want to play a couple rounds back to back and just have that fun, thinky puzzle each game, I highly recommend Patchwork, and I can see why it's been so wildly popular over the last number of years. And I'm just late to jumping on that Patchwork train. So I'm going to give it an 80% chance Meeples because I think it's a fantastic game, fantastic 2-player game. So yes, 80% chance Meeples for Patchwork. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance Meeples. Remember, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance Meeples.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to grab your umbrella because the forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.